Welcome. This is Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes, and you've just witnessed the introduction by John Bromberg and some of his friends. I'd like to introduce to you now John Bromberg and some of his friends. John, are you there?
Good afternoon, Larry.
Good afternoon, John.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, or fine, or good, or one of those things.
I'd like to introduce you to Pictures Moved by Strings.
Is that the name of the group?
That's the name.
Please do.
Yes. First, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Trudy.
Pleasure to meet you, Judy.
Lawrence, give John a mic while he intros, can you please? Or come to the table.
There's a mic right there. Why don't you use that? So we're
That's okay, go ahead.
live TV, isn't it wonderful?
And then we have the professor right here before us. Dennis Yanishot. And then we have Amanda. And then, of course, there's Brittany. And behind the scenes, it's John, who was playing the soundscape.
Panning to John. Good-looking fella.
And then, of course, there's Barbara, who created the score for this. Barbara?
Panning to Barbara. She wasn't expecting to be on TV.
And last but not least, there's the band leader, Doug. You're the band leader, Doug. Your mask doesn't come off, does it?
Beautiful. Thank you, folks. Thank you for being on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. And now John is going to come to the table, and while he does that, on the screen we like to share with you a painting by Pamela Wilson called Melee 1. I extracted this from Harper's, probably breaking copyright laws, but, you know, either way, enjoy it. And here we are at the table. You ready, Mr. Bromberg?
Sure am.
You have your mic in there?
I have it.
I think it's
The wrong way?
Yeah, it's facing downward.
Oh,
Let's get it upward.
okay.
It's the beard.
Oh, I see. It had to be changed around because I switched
Let me take care of you, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Larry.
You're the master. I'm just the talking head.
This is really nice of you.
Well, you know. There you go. All right. So, nice to have you on the show.
You probably don't recognize me without my hat, do you?
I've seen you without a hat before.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Larry. I've been looking forward to this.
Well,
And
I know. I saw you on the street. When was it?
December.
December, and I was walking by, and I had talked to John. I don't know what camera I'm on, but I'd talked to you a few times over the year 2005, saying I'm going to have you on the show. I'm going to have you on the show, and then I saw him on the street in December, and I said, John, I got to have you on the show. He said, yeah, you've been saying that for a while now. And here we are.
And here I am on the show.
I had to figure out.
So,
man.
yeah, it's great.
Well,
it's great.
This is the first show I'm putting on in 2006. You know, I take January off, and I thought the best way to open up the year 2006 was with you.
Wonderful.
So thank you for being here, and I have a bunch of questions for you.
Great, great.
You ready?
You know, this kind of time frame, it works very well with me because I've been building a chapel, a puppet chapel, and I've spent 2 years on it so far.
Where's
you
it?
know, so speedy kind of things really, that would have really. So December is nothing in comparison to 2 years worth, you know? I mean,
It's not that bad of a timeline?
2 months, right?
Right.
What the heck is that?
Well, I'm good. I felt a little guilty.
No, you shouldn't at all. I mean, it's I'm much more comfortable with that kind of speed. I like to see things evolve rather than, you know, I don't live in the fast lane. I live in a remote part of Wayne County. And you know, I'm tucked away from traffic and all that kind of stuff. I don't have a computer. And that's how I live, at a slow pace. I do spend many hours meditating, meditation, and so don't at all apologize, for your...
Well, I just want to show you respect. I want you to know that I do care, and I'm excited about all the work you do in northeastern Pennsylvania.
What's on that thing there?
Do
I get one of
These are
those?
self-affirming sentences that just say you're good, people like you, don't worry, everything will be all right.
Wow,
I just have
that's
to look
great.
at it every couple seconds so I don't, have an anxiety attack.
Wonderful.
No.
Do I get one of those?
No, I'm trying to look professional, I guess.
Oh. Could I look
Actually,
at yours?
This is the
Could
gift
I look
that I
at
give all
yours?
my guests. At the end of the show, it's yours. No, these are my questions. High tech.
Oh, okay.
You see, and I get to advertise the show. See that?
Oh,
Stories,
wow,
Wisdom, and
yes.
Recipes.
Oh, right.
You know?
That's a nice name. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to ask you the first question now. And
I'm ready.
You kind of answered it already. And it's a lot of my questions are open, very open. You could take them where you want. And so when I ask you something that's abstract, it's intentionally that way. And take it where you like. If you need to ask me some more, I'll help you out. But the first one is where are you from?
Originally? New York, Ozone Park. I was born in Ozone Park long time ago, Larry. And I moved to Lakewood, where I live now, in 1973. And I moved there for my survival, actually, because New York was a little bit too fast for me, actually. And so I came to Lakewood, and I love being in Lakewood, even though we've had 2 arson fires that it was really upsetting, but still it's where I'm going to be for the duration.
For the duration. That's the term I was thinking. The duration. And how would you describe yourself? You come from New York City, you say.
Yes.
You came to Lakewood in the 70s because you wanted a different way of life, a life that was more conducive to the way you.
Yeah.
You
You mean
are.
how would I describe myself in terms of what I do now, or yeah? I think the best word to describe me would be an agent. I feel like an agent
An agent of.
goodwill. Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
piece that we just saw.
That's an introductory piece that we like to use when the audience is coming into the theater. They're all restless and everything, so we just do this kind of thing, and it's a meditation, really. So because of the repetition, so that the audience is inquisitive about it. Because it's not something that you see on the street. And yet it's relaxing. Didn't it relax you?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
It did.
I
And
thought so.
You talk about a theater, so you put on pieces at different locations. This would be called performance art, I suppose? And,
Puppet. I like to call it puppet theater, actually.
Puppet theater.
Puppet theater. Yeah.
and how does it act as an agent of goodwill?
I'm really strained with the idea of elitism in art. You see a lot of elitism in art, so I like to break it down to its basics, and so I'd rather be seen as a puppet artist than a performance artist.
That's a little bit of an elitist sort of mentality?
Seems kind of pretentious. To me, anyway,
No,
but that's my own.
Well, you're from that world in a way, weren't you?
Yeah,
Right in the middle of it in New York City.
that's right.
Back
yeah.
in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, I had a
70s?
great success at a young age. I was much too young, and that's why I had to leave New York for like I said, to Lakewood as a means of survival, because it went to my head. A young guy, you're successful in the arts, something that you've been projecting on for a while, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're successful. And then I thought, wow, I must really be good, but it really got carried away. I really got carried away with it because I was a scoundrel, actually. I would manipulate people. I wouldn't come here and talk with you if this couldn't do something for my career. And I know this isn't going to do anything good for my career.
Well, hundreds of thousands of people watch this show. Well, if the host isn't getting paid, there's a good chance. Yeah, it's not going too far. That was
So
good.
anyway, I wouldn't do that, back then. Yeah, because, I had to, so at that point I had to choose, Larry, between art as a business, which I'm very good at, believe it or not, even though I don't use that anymore, either art as a business or art as a religion. And there's some artists that can blend the two together. they can blend art as a religion and art as a business, you know. But I was a total failure at that.
Well,
So
what sort of art were you successful at? Was it painting?
yeah,
Was it
I was a minimalist painter.
a minimalist
at
painter.
that time, yeah. And I was very young, so there were a lot of collectors who wanted to invest in me, you know, because I was on the cutting edge so early in life, you know. So they thought, you know, I don't understand what he's doing, but it's got to be a good investment, you know. So that's but I thought that way too, and that's why I say I was really a scoundrel. I was.
But you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
And you have to give yourself credit for changing and going to Lakewood.
Well, I don't give myself credit. I give, there was divine intervention, I think. Yeah, if I would have stayed in New York, I would definitely be dead now, you know.
You would have exhausted yourself?
No, I was messing around with the wrong crowds, the wrong everything. Yeah, I would have been either shot down from the outside or shot down from the inside, completely blown away.
Well, I'm happy you did make the choice you did, and now you're in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it wasn't really a choice either. You know, it was
divine
a choice between life or death, actually.
Well,
you know,
that's a tough
that's
one.
yeah.
I mean, it seems like you don't know at the time, though, is what you're saying. You don't know.
No, I didn't.
You don't know at
at
the time.
all,
You just
no.
you realize in retrospect
Yeah.
that you ended up
Yeah.
going the right route.
Yeah, and I feel like I had to give my ego away when I made the decision. You know, that's what was really at fault. You know, it wasn't the people around me or anything, but it was my ego. You know, and just this hotshot ego. I mean, I don't think you've ever been there, Larry. I'm looking in your eyes. I don't think you've been there, but I couldn't care for the slightest about anything else except me. You know, and that's not a good way to be.
No, it's not. It's not a good way to be at all. Your id too, I'm sure was pretty strong.
Oh yeah.
But be that as it may, you ended up coming to northeastern Pennsylvania, and you've been here for 30 plus years. You say you put works together that leave you acting as an agent of goodwill.
Well, when I first came here, I had a bundle of money. So I bought a lot of heavy equipment, you know, construction equipment, excavating equipment, because I really had this desire to do earthworks, you know, work with the earth as a medium.
There was an artist geez, I saw this a while back, a special on PBS. He actually reformed the
spiral jetty.
That's it, the
Smithson.
spiral jetty. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Smithson.
Yeah.
So that sort of work you were getting interested in.
Well, he did that, but I was doing something else. Yeah.
Yeah,
So when I
yeah.
came up here, I was, you know, that's what I needed was heavy equipment, and I had a bundle of money. So I bought a farm, heavy equipment, and then I
What else do you
realized
need?
I didn't have land, or I didn't have the kind of land that I wanted to work with. You know.
Right.
So I had to approach farmers, and what I realized is if I approached them for land that was fallow, that they couldn't use at all, I might have a better chance than if I would have asked them for land that was important to them.
Right, that they could have
so that
harvested on.
and that worked out beautifully because so at that time I was conscious of the environment, but not as much as I am now. And
Conscious in what way? You mean?
well, in
your
the way
effect on
that
it?
I was changing fallow land into art, you know. But I didn't feel as important as when I was in New York. It just brought me. It was a connection for me, you know, that I'm going to be doing this, and it's besides it being, you know, besides it exploring my emotional avenue, it will also be good for the environment because this land is fallow, nobody could use it, and I'm making art out of it. You know, so.
My grandfather shared a notion with my father, who shared it with me, that you're reminding me of. It's simple. My grandfather was a farmer in Italy, and he used to tell my father, who migrated here from Italy back in the 60s, that a person who works closely with the earth works closely with God. That was the general notion. And I remember my father telling me that when I was a child, and I was like, yeah, whatever, Dad, you know, that's nice. But it's starting to make more sense to me as I get older and as I do it myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's sort of, whatever God might be to you or to anyone else, I wonder if that was part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's but I didn't have as much urgency at that time to think of it on terms other than art. You know, I was an artist, and I didn't want to. I could have stopped being an artist, but I wanted to use art as a religion. You know, I didn't want to have anything to do with the business world anymore with my art, because I knew it wouldn't work for me. So
I thought I was getting a signal from Phil.
no, that was Barbara.
That was Barbara.
She gives signals all the time.
Yeah. Is she a third base coach? Yeah. All right. Let me ask you a question then that I've compiled in my bevy here. What then would you describe as art? What is art? How do you define art? What is art? And is there good art and is there bad art?
Absolutely, yeah.
There is
yeah.
good art and there is bad art.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I don't know, I'm not a connoisseur, and I don't, you know, because that brings in elitism, you know, and that means that I know more about something than you do, and I really don't, Larry. Believe me, I don't.
I don't know about that. I think you probably do.
I think for me anyway, art, so I'm not giving you a general definition of art, but for me, art should tell meaningful stories. There should be something in a person's art that tells a meaningful story, and that can in some way improve the universe. Yeah, so that might be asking too much, you know.
Well, it depends on what you define as improving the universe. If it makes someone reflect on some idea that helps them along, then that, I guess, improves the universe.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about profound, like, social change, I don't know if a piece of art can always do that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's subjective.
Well, strangely enough, Larry, you know, the art that we do as a collective, that's pictures moved by strings. I still do art by myself. But the art we do as a collective, a lot of folks have suggested that it's political, you know, and the underlying theme of what we try to do is to tell stories about nonviolence, because I really feel that you know, this military-industrial complex that we live in is really going to destroy the earth. It's destroying the environment. I'm
taking your name down, buddy.
Oh. I like that, Larry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So I don't think it's political at all, what we're doing, you know, because all we want to tell is a story about nonviolence. And I really believe in my heart that nonviolence and you know, that's a big thing. I mean, most of the community we live in, I mean, the larger community being America, is governed by, you know, this whole superpower thing, and the only superpower that I acknowledge is the one up there. You know, I don't. If someone is given the gift of being a superpower, I don't think they should abuse it like we have been,
like our government is.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and but I'm desperate to tell these stories about nonviolence, and yet, you know, people are saying that it's political, the statements that we're making, and it's not political at all. But in this climate, in this climate that we live in, being a military-industrial complex, of course, a nonviolent or a pacifist is considered to be political. You know, this has all of a sudden become politics.
Well, maybe that's not your intent, but I think if you are criticizing in some way, shape, or form, or focusing on an aspect of our existence that you think is unhealthy or ill-conceived, it is a political statement. It is. I mean, you're sort of protesting. And what's wrong with that, in a way? Or at least you're saying, let's take a look, fellow citizens, fellow human beings, at this through my art. That's political, I think. I mean, I think that's but what's wrong with that?
Yeah, well, I don't have any. My heroes are like Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi,
nonviolence,
Mother Teresa, you know, those kind of people. I don't have any respect at all for a politician. I think they're the slimiest,
And that's not
they
an applause
lie.
track. That's live applause here in the studio on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes.
And we don't even have an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? You say that because you're saying that politicians are
Well,
not
look at what
to be
we're
respected.
facing. There's lies, there's stealing. I mean, the administration that's in there now, it was a stolen election, you know. Some of us believe that to be a stolen election.
I think
you
it's
know?
questionable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's questionable. But
And,
what about state level, local level? All politicians by association?
I've never met a decent politician.
No?
No. No. I'm sorry, Mayor
Hey, no,
Doherty.
it's yeah. Have you met Mayor Doherty? Or-
No, I haven't met
See,
him.
well, he's still on. Maybe we can introduce the two of you and see what you think. Well, that's you have every right to say
Yeah,
that.
but it's only my opinion. You know, I'm not going to go out and you know, try and change your opinion of the world. You know.
Well, no, but the politics sometimes, to me, like right now, you made that statement about Mayor Doherty or whomever, all politicians. Now, say you try to get a grant from the Scranton Area Foundation or some other organization that's affiliated with these folks.
Well,
you think,
they probably wouldn't see this.
oh no, they watch the show all the time because they want to know what's on the cutting edge of our citizens' mindset. They're watching. Yes, they're watching. You are a good person. People do like you. Okay, all right, all right. But
Yes.
you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. I do.
You're not concerned about that.
I used to be. I used to spend 6 months of my year working up grants, you know, grant applications. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't pursue any kind of funding anymore. The blessing that I've had, one of my greatest teachers is Peter Schumann. He's with the Bread and Puppet Theater up in Vermont.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
Northeast Territory.
so long ago they didn't accept any grants, even when they were given to them.
Because they didn't want any strings attached.
No, right.
Excuse
they
the-
want the freedom to express themselves in the way that they feel, and if they had to do what I just did on the television, you know, they
would feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, because they weren't depending on that kind of support.
Excuse me one second, Arnold.
Yeah.
Is Mr. Bromberg's beard rubbing against the microphone and causing all kinds of noise?
Yeah, but it's just part of the sound.
Ambiance.
Yeah.
do you want us to adjust it or no?
Oh, we can trim his beard if you want.
Live. Give me some
He's
scissors.
already done that. He's here too.
I just don't want people to hear that because sometimes people are. There you go. So back here on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes with John Bromberg, self-described agent of goodwill. And we're going to see another piece in a couple of minutes. I want to ask you another question that really is sort of a non sequitur. Are you related to David Bromberg?
Yes. David is my cousin, and that's the reason I came to Wayne County, actually. See, David used to work at Adrian's music store in Honesdale.
I've heard that.
To get away from the hustle and bustle of performing all the time. And he said, you know, this is a great place. Why don't you got to get out of the city, John, because look what it's doing to you. And so that's one thing that led me to where I live now is my blessed cousin David, but I don't see him anymore.
No?
He moved up there. I thought Adrian moved out, and that's what David's mostly interested in.
Was
is
Adrian
music.
herself? Oh.
In music, you know, and you
okay.
see the kind of music we do. So David, he would get into it. He's got a funky streak. But
Well, I heard that he did spend some time in Honesdale, and I just thought maybe.
yeah, Adrian's.
All right.
Yeah.
Relate to David Bromberg for you music fans. You know what? Mayor Doherty loves David Bromberg.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, geez.
Honest to God. I had him on a radio show one time, and your cousin has a song called Danger Man.
Yeah.
And I played Danger Man before the mayor came on, you know. And I thought it was funny. He's like, oh, David Bromberg. I haven't listened to that since college. You know, I was very impressed.
Wow.
But anyhow, back to some questions about your views on art, spirituality, things of that nature. One quick question, then we'll go to your happy box.
The happy box.
Yeah, we're going to the happy box.
I love giving you the happy box. This is a gift, Larry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a gift.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
excellent. Thank
yeah.
you.
I brought this because I like you, and I want to give you the Happy Box.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I need something called the Happy
I
Box
know,
sometimes.
with notes like that.
Yeah, I know. See?
You could put that on there now.
You
know,
have a
John-
Happy Box.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry, you have the Happy Box. Right. I don't. All these questions are so broad. I don't think I could really ask you and have you squeeze it into 2-3 minutes. So let's go to the Happy Box.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about the Happy
Okay.
Box as I'm setting it up.
Okay.
It's under here. If you could
Yeah, I'll grab it for you.
help me with it. And
Sure.
Sheree, could you give me my mask?
This is another piece designed and I guess you can say coming from the artistic spirit and mind of John Bromberg here on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. And he's giving it to me when he's
What
done.
am I
Isn't that
supposed
nice?
to do with this, Larry?
That's for you to drink.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
yeah, it's green tea.
Oh, it's green tea.
Green
Wow.
tea, yes.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so the Happy Box.
Is this in the way?
So I don't know. I don't know where anything is.
I'll take this and put this down.
So I'd like to dedicate this to 4 friends, actually.
Okay.
Danny Burns, Peter DeMott, Claire Grady, and Teresa Grady. Are you familiar with any of those names, Larry?
You mentioned these folks to me in our last phone conversation. Didn't they orchestrate and employ a certain protest against
Yeah.
the war
Yeah.
at a recruiting center? What is it?
In the spring of 2003, remember what happened in the spring of 2003?
Well, we started in Iraq.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But 2 days before the war started, these 4 friends were so troubled by the aspects of it. You know, I mean, the talk was about shock and awe, you know, and that I mean, this is straight out of some kind of nightmare or something.
I agree.
It was for a lot of us, you know, and it just tore them apart because actually they were in Iraq previous to that. And they saw what the sanctions were doing. You know, only the sanctions, all the children that the sanctions were killing.
These 4 people
You know,
saw
yeah,
all
the
this.
4 people went to Iraq and they saw this, you know, and then when they came back, then there was going to be, you know, there was going to be a declaration of war on these people, you know, these Iraqi people, and they just couldn't take it. It was beyond them, beyond any kind of acceptance, you know, that they could be able to deal with this. And I felt the same way at the time. I wasn't in touch with them at the time, but I felt the same way. And so what they did is they committed a nonviolent action in Lansing, a adjoining town. They all live in Ithaca. And I knew the Grady sisters' father, John. And back in '68, maybe, he had committed an action. They were burning draft cards because they were so upset about the draft and about the Vietnam War. And John Grady, along with 27 other folks who were eventually called the Camden 28, you know, they always give that kind of designation,
Yeah.
you know,
Chicago
somebody
7.
creates this this nonviolent action or this civil disobedience, like Thoreau told us so much about.
Henry
You know,
David?
civil disobedience was important if you wanted things to be changed. If you were so tormented and disgusted with the way things were, civil disobedience might be an avenue to help you bring about change. And so John Grady, it was finally, his case with the Camden 28 was finally, what do you call that when they get off?
Acquitted. They were
Acquitted.
They were
Yeah,
acquitted.
the case was acquitted. And, but at any rate, of course, his 2 kids, you know,
Were
have
influenced
that,
by-
have that genetic connection. You know, and they're, I'm just going to move things around here a little
Sure.
bit, Larry, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
And here's another candle right here.
Is this part of the
I don't know, what is that? Somebody's telephone.
Sounds
it
like the
must be.
X-Files.
Somebody's telephone. Somebody has a telephone call. Who, is it the cameraman?
I think it might be a politician.
Oh.
Definitely.
It's a politician.
Where was I, Larry?
You were talking about how
John Grady and Claire and
acquitted,
Teresa.
and the kids.
Yeah. So they were compelled to commit this nonviolent action up in Lansing, which is near Ithaca, and they didn't run away. You know, they didn't commit this action and then run away from it. Oh, another telephone call. This is a busy place.
Yeah.
So they were arrested, and they were arraigned in Ithaca, and the case was the decision of the jury was 9-2 to acquit the case, but the prosecution called it a mistrial,
And
so then it had to be that was it for that trial. But then somebody came along and said this should be a federal case. You know, this should really be a federal case.
well, why don't you
So
explain
then-
what they did?
What?
Why don't you explain what they did? I'm sure people are wondering, well, what did they do?
Well, they had their blood drawn, and then they went into this recruiting station, and they poured their blood on the walls, and some of it came down on the posters, and some of it came down on the American flag, and that wasn't all planned, but nevertheless, but they didn't regret any of that because they felt that blood was on the flag already, because they witnessed all the devastation that had already happened because of the sanctions.
And so they then were convicted in federal court.
Yeah, then it came to federal court, and they were brought on conspiracy charges, because the recruiting sergeant who was in the was in the recruiting station got all bent out of shape, of course, and he told them to leave, and they didn't. They just stayed there, and they were reciting scriptures because they're also part of the plowshares movement.
Which is?
They're folks that Philip Barragan was a prime plowshare, and he might have even been the founder. But according to Isaiah, of hammering our swords into plowshares, that's where the whole plowshares movement comes. So the main action that they do, Larry, is that they go into nuclear facilities and they bang on the warheads, just with household hammers. I mean, they really don't do significant damage, but it just as a symbol of what because nuclear, the whole nuclear thing is totally berserk. Yeah. So anyway, that's what these folks did. So they're called the St. Patrick's Four because they did their action on St. Patrick's Day. And so that was March the 17th, and then March the 19th is when the war was finally, the shock and awe,
Yeah, I remember.
The whole
and what
scene.
happens to these folks in federal court? Were they acquitted?
The conspiracy charges were dropped, but they were, it was government property. The government destroying government property, and what the heck was the other charge? Something like disturbing the peace or something like that. Yeah.
Misdemeanors, basically, Lucia tells us.
Conspiracy charges weren't dropped, but the jury threw them out. The jury didn't convict on those.
Okay, thank you, Lucia. So you disagree with the fact that they were arrested, that they were brought to trial. You don't think they should have been, and this is that why this is dedicated to them? Why
No.
Why is the happy box?
Well, this is what happened to me at that same time.
Okay.
Yeah. But I really feel that these folks are saints. I couldn't do something like that. I couldn't.
What about people that say, well, they got their blood and they dumped it on the walls? That's gross. Why would they do that? Why would they mess up the place? These people, that's too much of an extreme sort of reaction. How do you react
Is that
yourself?
how you feel?
No.
How do you feel, Larry?
I feel civil disobedience is very important
Yeah,
in our
well, that's
society.
all it was.
But,
And it was
but my
all
viewers,
symbolic.
what I like to do on the show is when things like that come up, I like to anticipate what viewers are thinking. So, and then give an opportunity for my guests to react to that. So the viewers have something more to reflect on. So a lot of the folks I know are going to be thinking, that's just absurd. How do you react? You're calling them saints. How do you react to those people who would think they're absurd to even try something like that? Why are they saints and not fringe sort of thinkers that are doing things that are just too strange?
Because the way they're approaching resistance is through nonviolence, you know, as opposed to violence. And anything that undermines the military-industrial complex at this time, which I really believe is going to destroy the planet if it's continued, you know. And it's not an easy thing to change that idea, you know. I mean,
It's our culture.
yeah, yeah, and you know, the whole stuff that especially floats through males, I think, more than females. Although
Testosterone, you mean?
yes, that stuff, yes, and you know, it's just so apparent that and this is a patriarchal society that we live in.
Yes.
You know, so it's the men that make the decisions, which I think should also be changed. You know, there's a lot of changes to come about. You know, and these are major changes.
So this is why, and I'm just trying to keep us on everything you're saying is very compelling and insightful. To keep it on track, back to the happy box, and you think these folks, because of I guess their goodwill, or they're agents of goodwill as well. You would probably say, right? With their
oh, absolutely.
You've dedicated this to them.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I admire them, you know, and what they did, and this is what I did at that same time. This is how the Happy Box came about, is through my anguish over those. I didn't go to Iraq like they did, so I didn't feel the full. Maybe if I had gone to Iraq, I would have joined them if I knew about it. But I didn't go to Iraq. You know, I didn't have the money to go to Iraq, but that you know, money hasn't held me back before. So you know, I guess I'm just using that as an excuse. But I didn't go to Iraq to see what the sanctions were doing, and.
Okay. Well, we have about 10 minutes for the duration of the show.
For the duration of the whole show?
Yeah, it goes by quick.
Oh, man.
So
let's talk too much.
No, this is fascinating. I think it's a great discussion. Let's go to the Happy Box, though.
Okay.
We understand what the context of it is.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
So usually there's an audience, you know, and there's, so I guess I brought my own audience because, you know, had a Happy Box. It was spring, you know, in Lakewood. And when I lived in Ozone Park, there wasn't the same kind of experience that there is in Lakewood. When spring hits Lakewood, I know it, and I'm completely ecstatic because of a certain sound, and that's the sound of the peepers. These little peeper frogs. They're about as big as my my pinky nail, and they start up. So I usually ask the audience to do that, but you must have peeper frogs in the studio here because I do hear them, and so that's what's going to get me started. So, and you could help us out too, Larry, if you're interested.
I'd love to.
Yeah. So you could do the sound of the peepers. See what that says, Larry?
Ah, springtime, when a young man's heart turns to fancy.
And here's the young man.
Doug Smith.
He's Doug Smith.
You didn't even have to tell me.
Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall live in peace someday. Started on a low note, didn't I, Larry? So that's the happy box.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful.
Oh,
Really.
thank you, Larry. So we won't have time for the third section. See,
No,
and this guy had he's a Bigfoot, and we've been doing Bigfoot ballets.
I think we'll have time for.
Yeah,
I think
you think we'll have time for
yeah,
the
I
Bigfoot
think so.
ballet?
I think we have 5 more minutes at the table, and then we have time for.
I
So
see.
we have
I
5
thought
more
it was. I thought it was all together.
No,
5 minutes.
I misinformed you. I think you did ask me in totality, and I said yes.
Oh.
So we have
great.
5. Yeah, let me ask
Oh,
another question,
terrific.
and then we'll go to the Bigfoot Theater.
Sure. Yeah.
By the way, you're watching Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes, the first episode of 2006. And I thought the best way to start this year off would be with John Bromberg, and I think I thought right. I hope you're enjoying it. We have 5 more minutes at the table, and then we're going to go back to some more of your work.
Yeah.
Bigfoot
the Bigfoot
Theater.
ballet. We'll give you a little.
Bigfoot Ballet.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you
But
this
first,
question.
Larry, I want you to make a wish.
Okay.
And my friend Trudy will make a wish.
Thank you for the wish. All right. I guess.
You shouldn't thank me, Larry. I'm just the agent.
Well, you got to thank the agent, don't you? I don't know. The last question I should ask. Let's see. I guess we've talked about certain ideas that you can relate to politics, you can relate to art and spirituality. And I want to, I guess, maybe we can...
Bring that all into...
In 5 minutes,
yeah.
spirituality, art, and politics. Do you see a connection that must be? Or do you think we live that way as human beings for the most part, with all three as main source of our existence?
Yeah,
so it's two-part.
Yeah, well, way back when, I actually, as part of, learning about the community and when I was first introduced to the community, I was really working towards a marriage of spirit and matter. Because I had just come back from South Dakota, and I spent a year with a Native American teacher. And in doing that, I learned about their deep sense of spirituality. And I really felt very strongly that spirit and matter could be somehow, that's what really was the basis of art, or good art, like you said earlier. Yeah, so that has been something that has always been an ideal of mine. But politics, I don't have any ideas about it all, because I do vote, and I feel very proud being able to vote, and doing things like this, speaking openly, there's freedom. And that's what the St. Patrick's Four were doing. They actually sacrificed their physical freedom to maintain their spiritual freedom. And that's, so you see, that's always at work. And that's what we do in our large, this was called toy theater, what I just showed you.
The first
yeah,
two
and this is something that I usually do on my own, because I don't need a lot of other folks to do this, and I have to, if I need to go somewhere, I always bring a happy box. I don't know how you travel, but probably with all kinds of luggage, but I just bring the happy boxes.
It sounds like that's all you would really need, isn't it?
And so that's toy theater. And in England, Larry, during, there he goes again. Are you watching him?
Yeah. So, Phil, 5 minutes at the end of the show.
To the end? It is to the end.
It's to the end. So I think
we should go on to another performance.
Yeah, and I want to say to you, sir, we're going to have you on again, no doubt. And it was a pleasure, and really,
yeah.
I don't want to say honor because I think it'll make you feel uncomfortable, but
yeah.
I will anyway. It was an honor to have you at the table. Thank you for the happy box. Thank you for all the insights and pictures with strings.
Pictures moved by strings.
Moved by strings.
Yeah.
Any upcoming
the
dates?
farm I live on is PMS Farms.
PMS Farms.
Yeah.
All right.
Some people think it's post-mental syndrome, because when they come to the farm, it's there's a lot of obscure things that happen at the farm. But it's only because we love other people's imagination so much that we don't try and constrict anyone's imagination. So we deliberately make our shows somewhat obscure.
Well, I think at some point we're going to take the crew up to your farm and do a show up there.
Or to the Riverside School.
Or to the Riverside School.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, great.
But I'd like to go to your farm instead. But once again, I want people to be able to see your work, so let's go to that. And
all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Bromberg at Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. Look for his work out in society. It'll be there. Just look and listen. You'll see it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Larry.
Pleasure.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? Look, you made a mess of everything. You big bully. Don't you even think about it, Jack.